I, 25 female, haven't had a great relationship with my family since moving out. Cliché BS. Brother 30 was the golden child. I was a scapegoat, etc., etc. Anyway, that made for a rough relationship with them, and haven't really spoken to them for 6 or 7 years. Well, a few weeks ago I was contacted through Facebook by a woman who claimed to be pregnant with my brother's child. The problem is, he is refusing to claim said child, and wants nothing to do with the mother. She told me he has completely ghosted her and blocked her on everything. And apparently, my mother has been quite hostile when she has stopped by to try and talk to him, and has threatened to call the police for trespassing if she comes around again. So she tells me this and asks if I'd be willing to do a DNA test after the baby is born, so that she can take my brother to court. I told my husband about this in front of some of our friends, and one of them piped up and said I shouldn't get involved with something that has nothing to do with me, and that it'd be spiteful to do that to my brother. My husband kind of agreed, and said I shouldn't get involved with my family again. I'm honestly not sure. On one hand, I don't want to have any of my family contact me after the test. But on the other hand, I wouldn't want that to happen to me. My brother lives rent-free and makes more than enough money to buy a house. He should have to take responsibility for a child he helped create. The baby is due in a few months, so I have time to decide what I want to do. I'm leaning towards doing the test, but would I be the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You should do it. You owe your family nothing. Your opinionated a-hole friends even less. Of course this has something to do with you. It was requested of you. And you could possibly be an auntie soon. Not the a-hole. Do it. It's actually extremely easy to get DNA. People leave it literally everywhere. If anything, you can just give your own DNA and they can see if the baby is a relative of yours and completely disregard getting it from him at all. Maybe try to take the middle of the road. You can still be involved with the soon-to-be mom and even in your niece-nephew's life. But I would also try to not burn bridges with your family, since it seems like that could easily explode. I probably would not do the DNA test. While I think the intention there is good, that's something you can undo, and your family would then place blame on you, further scapegoating you for his mistake, and something that's technically not your responsibility. Update. Explanation. The most common response and question I've gotten to this post is why doesn't she just petition the court to get the paternity test? I live in a not-so-well-off area, and this exact scenario happens all the time. The lawyers she'd be able to get have hundreds of these cases, and it will take years for her to have her day in court. She wants to have some shred of evidence to prove that my brother could be the father, so that it's more likely a good lawyer will take a look at her case, or that my family will see that he is the father and come to some type of arrangement with her. Small update. My birth giver decided to try and threaten me last night. Somehow she found out that, let's call her Eve, not her real name, contacted me to ask about DNA. And let's just say that birth giver was not happy. She sent me an anonymous message about how horrible of a child I am for even thinking about siding with Eve, and that I should be thinking about how terrible it is for my brother to be accused like this, and how she will sue both of us for defamation, and just an all-around mess of insane choppy texts that vary from accusing to guilt-tripping. I'm not replying, but I am keeping records for court, and I'll probably get a new number. But that's what I'm dealing with at the moment. I will update as things progress. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law, hubby's brother and wife, have always had a problem of keeping up with the Joneses, so to speak. Nobody can ever have anything better or newer than them. While it's never really bothered any of us, it's just something that is there and has become a family joke. They do this to everyone and have even done it to hubby and myself. Up to a certain point, this has never been a problem. But, well, times have changed, and now that has caught up with him. He told me that brother-in-law called and asked for money because they are pretty behind on house and car payments, and they were about to start losing things to repossession. I asked how this was possible when they are still doing all the things they have been doing. He said they never recovered from last year when they lost their jobs and took lower-paying positions, and they never did anything to accommodate their new salaries. We have the money to help them out, but it would have meant that we would have had to put off some things that we had planned for 2021. Hubby said that something didn't feel right, and he called his brother to ask them to send over all their bills, expenses, and pay stubs, so that we could look at it and see what we could do to help, which they did reluctantly. I ran the numbers 4 different ways, and no matter how I ran it, there was no way for me to be able to find out how they could pull out of this, and in all honesty, they were very much bankrupt. The long story short of it is that they are filing bankruptcy next month, and will be moving in with us. Brother-in-law, sister-in-law, and 3 kids. Our house will be maxed out. Here is where I might be the a-hole. In order to maintain their appearance, hubby and I are the only ones who know. Then tonight, we had dinner with the family, And we heard brother-in-law and sister-in-law talking about the neighbors and how they are going on vacation in a couple of weeks, and next year they are going to do something. Hubby and I listened in on this for a few minutes, and they kept going, and I got pissed off and went storming out into the living room asking what the hell were they thinking. First, it was how dare I leak this information without their approval. Then, it was basically that they said they had a lifestyle that they have become accustomed to, and once the bankruptcy was complete, then they would have extra money to move on with their life, and it's not fair to them or their kids to have to completely change. I reminded them that it was their lifestyle that is exactly what put them into bankruptcy, and they need to learn to better manage their money. So, am I the a-hole for telling my brother-in-law and sister-in-law that their lifestyle is what put them into bankruptcy? Not the a-hole, obviously, but I think you need to rethink this mess of a situation. These people are going to leech off of your kindness while driving you and your husband insane in your own home, and still spend their money irresponsibly. Why are you doing this to yourself? You cannot help people who will not help themselves. You do realize that they will still be living with you in 3 years, not having saved any money, and that it will be extremely difficult to get them moved out. You are generous and not the a-hole, but you are lying to yourself. Not the a-hole. I feel like every time I move to a new paragraph, I heard that TikTok song. Oh no, oh no, oh no, 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 no. This has disaster written on it. For a year, your power bill and bills will double, and the lifestyle change that will come from this will ruin your relationship. You need to tell them to find a small place to rent and a cheap secondhand car. They might not ever be able to get a mortgage again, so they might as well get used to it. Edit. To tie up any questions, when brother-in-law, sister-in-law, and family move in, they are going to be living with us rent-free and will just have to cover their personal expenses. This is to help them get money saved up so they will be able to find a place of their own. Hubby and I are planning on getting new cars next year. We were originally going to use our cars for trade-ins, but now we are going to just sign our cars over to them and put extra money down for a down payment on our cars. Hopefully in a year, maybe less, they will be able to move into their own place. They will be moving the kids' college funds into other people's names so that will not be touched in the bankruptcy. Edit 2. Hello everyone. All the comments were extremely eye-opening. When hubby and I made the decision to do this, it was made in a hurry, and we admit we didn't completely think the whole thing through. Thanks to all of you, we saw all the red flags, and in all honesty, we both were feeling the same way, just not sure how to talk to each other. So basically, what it comes down to is that brother-in-law, sister-in-law, and family are not moving in and are not getting our cars. After last night's dinner conversation, both of us saw how much they don't think this is a serious matter. And if that's the case, then they are never going to take us serious living with us. They need to figure this out on their own. We had a Zoom meeting this morning with hubby's other siblings, and they are all telling us the same thing, not to let them move in with us and not to let them have our cars. They all agree that they need to hit rock bottom as well. They will still have some time before all of this goes through, so they have time to save up for a place that they can move into and maybe find a way to get different cars. I put together a budget that will work for them. I have resources that will help with different things as well. I made them a budget spreadsheet like what I use for my husband's and my finances. I have a friend of mine who is going to try and find them a place they will be able to rent while they come through the worst of it all. Taking any of them in is an absolute last resort. I feel horrible for their kids because they are going to miss out on a lot because of this. They are most likely going to lose their college funds. They never did anything wrong, but they are going to have to pay for their parents' mistakes. If they were not underwater with their house, they could have just sold it and paid off a lot of the debt with that profit. But at this point, nothing is going to help. Had they not lost their jobs last year, they would have been okay. Both at the time had high executive level jobs that afforded them to do all the things they have done. But their new jobs and salaries just don't have that much power at this point to pull them out of it. We are going to have to get their parents involved in this, which both are in their 80s. They might actually have to get an advance on their inheritance to get moved. I don't know. Hubby and I feel that we have done more than what we should have done, so now it's up to them. Edit number 3. About the college funds. They're just basic savings accounts. All 3 kids are not at an age where they can hold their own bank accounts without a parent's signature. So while they have their names on the accounts, brother-in-law and sister-in-law are also on the accounts. So they are going to lose out no matter what. I, 25 female, am in the process of suing my younger sister, 20 female, for defamation of character. To give you some context about everything, me and my sister have never gotten along. We always fought over everything, and most of the time, they would become physical. I remember one time she got upset simply because I ate a slice of pizza that she was saving, but didn't tell anyone. So she cut my hair, put cockroaches in my backpack, and put a mouse in my bed. It took me years for my hair to grow back to its natural length. Fast forward, me and my sister still don't get along, but it has calmed down since I moved out for college. Now, about 5 years ago, I met my boyfriend, now fiancé, at a coffee shop, and we instantly hit it off. It took me almost 2 years to introduce him to my family because I didn't want my sister to meet him. But he convinced me to introduce him, so I did. Everyone welcomed him with open arms and was very nice to him. My sister was more nice than others, but I thought I was being paranoid. It wasn't until my sister started coming around, when she never visited my apartment, not even when I'd first gotten it. I was suspicious that she only came around to see my boyfriend, and he confirmed it when he told me she tried to make a move on him when I wasn't around. I confronted her and told her to stay away from us. Fast forward to today. About 5 months ago, my boyfriend barged into our room, yelling at me and asking me why I would cheat on him. I told him I would never do that. Then he asked me why I had a dating profile. I told him I didn't. Then he showed me my high school phone, and behold, me on Tinder. I told him it wasn't mine, and asked him who told him it was. He said it was my sister. I asked why would he believe her, and he said he didn't at first, until he checked the phone and saw the app and the messages. I told him I haven't seen that phone since high school, after my sister stole it. But he didn't believe me, and packed his stuff and left. It wasn't until a month ago where he found out the truth, because my sister revealed about what had happened to one of our cousins, about how she still had my old phone, and that she stole some pictures from my new phone and sent it to herself and created the profile. So, our cousin told my boyfriend everything. Since then, my boyfriend has been expressing his apologies any way he can. But I was only worried about how I was going to deal with my sister. I didn't know what I was going to do until my coworker gave me the idea of suing her. I was hesitant at first, but gave in to the idea and sued her. No one knew I was doing it except my boyfriend, and he supported the idea 100%. It wasn't until they served her with the papers that everything blew up. My parents called and begged me to drop the lawsuit. Some friends even said I took it too far. A couple of family members are on my side, but a couple are saying I'm an a-hole for suing my sister. Now, I'm wondering if I really did take it too far by suing her. I'm going to say not the a-hole, but I hope you are prepared for the possibility of a suit doing nothing in the end, but costing you money and ruining your other familial relationships. Not the a-hole, but I'm not sure where you are located. Would you be better off serving her with an order of protection? Restraining order? It would be much cheaper, and she would face legal consequences for messing with you, coming around you. Only it would be the state that would prosecute. I'm just not sure what you get out of suing her. Not the a-hole, but it doesn't sound like she defamed you. Yes, she made a fake dating profile of you that caused your boyfriend to dump you. But that's not defamation. It's extremely messed up, but it's not defamation in the legal sense. Also, is your 20-year-old sister independently wealthy? Because if not, suing her only costs you money and lawyer fees, etc. It costs her nothing, especially if your parents end up footing the bill for a legal representative for her, which it sounds like they might. So you may end up burning a lot of bridges. I've been friends with Kay for about 10 years. She and my husband work in the same field, and so have former colleagues in common. 2 years ago, a woman, X, started at my husband's work. They didn't get on with each other at all, and she created a very hostile work environment. She was more senior than my husband, so he effectively just had to get on with it, but was looking around for another job. X then started some very nasty rumors about my husband when he was promoted to a role above her. The company found out he was looking around and wanted to keep him. These were very personal, vicious, and completely and utterly false rumors. When we found out, we took legal action and sued X. She refused to settle, lost at court, and is still paying us off. The company fired her long before the court battle ended, and she ended up working with my friend Kay, and the two have become incredibly close. It has affected our friendship, as I feel very guarded with Kay now. Over the last day or so, Kay has been texting me, and it turns out X is still spreading rumors about my husband. I am fuming about it. We have again spoken with a lawyer, but I would need to use my friend's messages and emails as evidence, which would clearly make things hard for her. I want to take X down for what she is doing, but I know this is going to impact hugely on my friend. I mentioned things to Kay, and she was horrified and begged me not to do anything, and that she will speak to X and stop her. I doubt that will work, and the messages are the only evidence we have. My husband comes before my friend, But would I be the a-hole here for using my friend's messages as evidence despite her begging me not to? Not the a-hole. Kay's behavior is weird. I'd never befriend someone who tried to harm one of my friends. Not the a-hole. Do you think for a minute that X wouldn't use all the means at their disposal to continue their character attack on your husband? I'd even depose Kay and notify her she'll be testifying, even as a hostile witness if need be, at the hearings. Update. To be honest, I didn't expect as many not the a-holes, but your judgments have made me really think about Kay and our friendship. In retrospect, if she was a good friend, she wouldn't have buddied up with X. She knows what happened, and so whilst, as they work together, I would have been fine with her being civil with X, to become as close as they have isn't right, and I'm now really questioning her loyalty. We have decided to press ahead with the legal action anyway, and I don't think I'm going to bother telling Kay at this point.